It's time for the Unscripted Push with DeVonnda, Shantel, and Ebony S. Bailey. Are you ready to live your best unscripted life? We're ready to jump right into the conversation.
Hey everyone, I'm DeVonnda Shantel.
And I'm Ebony S. Bailey.
And welcome to the Unscripted Push Podcast, our first episode. Wow, interesting, huh?
Wait, you had a theme song last time. It was
the Unscripted Push Podcast. You got to push. You got to push.
Wait, what is all?
Push. Push.
Listen, this has been a push. So we decided at the end of last year, it came up in a random conversation about us doing this. And I hesitated when I asked her. I was like, what do you think about this? And you said...
Yeah, I had been thinking about doing a podcast. And I was like, girl, you don't really like talking in front of people. And a lot of people don't know that. And so it's crazy how Ebony came to me and was like, I've been thinking about us doing a podcast. And I'm like, I've been thinking about a podcast too. But I never thought that I would actually execute doing an actual podcast.
And I have this whole situation where like, I got to have stuff exactly right. So it's a little bit of a perfectionist. Yeah. A little bit of a perfectionist, like a little bit, just a little bit. So we...
I'm talking to the people.
Yeah, okay. So we like had this whole thing. We were doing a shared drive.
Yes.
We were putting a Pinterest board together. We were doing all this
everything.
Stuff. And I was like, we were talking about ordering cameras.
Right.
We were doing all of this stuff.
Being extra.
Yeah. And then one morning I was like, Ebony, if y'all keep taking forever, like trying to buy all these things, you'll never get it done. And then I reached out to you and asked you, and you were like, Ebony, you said the same thing. So we were like, all right, we about to just jump out here.
About to do this thing.
We just about to push it on out. And Unscripted was birthed. And now we are literally
unscripted.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to be unscripted though in life. And like Ebony said, I was just talking to her. I was like, Ebony, we just got to do it. Like in this season, you just got to go for it. You got to do it. And you just got to put it out there regardless, because you're not going to have everything perfect. And I told her I was actually watching somebody on TikTok and they had a lot of followers. And I was like, she was like, we doing a podcast. We don't have anything together. We just going to put it out there. And I was like, that's what we need to do. Because we on Amazon looking for this product, this and that. And I'm like, we can just start with what we have and build off that. So if anybody watching, just go ahead and do it and start. Don't hesitate, because you don't have all the pieces.
Oh my God. We just jumped straight in and talking.
I know.
So these are our conversations.
Right.
Like, we have, they will start off with one thing and then they'll go left. So somebody might be watching because they know you. And then someone may be watching because they know me. So for those who do not know who I am Ebony S. Bailey. I am an author strategist. I am a purpose enthusiast. Yes, I made that up. I am a creative who challenges women to wake up and walk in their God-given purpose on purpose.
I love it.
I wear lots of hats, so many. Like, I don't even have time to go through all of them. Sometimes I forget the things that I do. And as I talk, it comes out or someone reminds me of it. So you'll figure those things out as we get into this season. But I own a publishing company where I help, and not me and my team, y'all. We help bring people's voice and their vision to print. So we do books and journals and curriculum. Everything. Last year, y'all. We've rolled out a whole curriculum with the textbook, teacher edition, student edition. We did some things last year. So I'm super excited about that. But in this way, I teach and I talk to my clients about being open and your voice matters. And one of the things that we pride ourselves on is not silencing other people's voice. that's why the tagline is, we bring your voice and your vision to print. And so they come and they show us what they have, and we polish that thing up, make it shiny and look good, and package it. But that's something that we do in a way where we are not taking someone else's voice. And that's another way to live unscripted. Like, you can't allow other people to change the narrative of your life.
Right.
Don't be predictable. It's boring. Like, literally live unscripted.
Yep.
Okay. Girl, who are you? I said, who you are.
No, I'm like, girl, keep going, because you got a lot more. So, guys, Ebony actually is the person that told me about an elevator speech. And she like, because I hate introducing myself. So I was like, an elevator speech? And she knows hers. So I was just like, I know Ebony on this podcast going to say her elevator speech. So let me write down something. So as time go on, guys, I'm going to learn this. But I wrote down my elevator speech so you guys will know who DeVonnda Shantel is. So I am DeVonnda Shantel, a leadership and development strategist, self-esteem advocate, and author. Through transformative growth, speaking, and sourcing growth, I foster resilience and promote a culture of self-love and empowerment. So that is who I am. I'm a leadership, person by day for my everyday job. So I teach leaders how to be effective leaders in whatever platform you are on, because we are all leaders in some type of way. So, but I'm over program managers at my job. And I just kind of teach them how to be effective. And then also I am a self-esteem advocate about loving who you are from the inside out, being your best self. I feel like if you look good, you feel good. Yeah. That's with anybody. And just learning who you are as an individual. So that is my claim to fame, is empowering women to be beautiful from the inside out.
Hey, I love it, because you start with the inside. You can polish up. So on the outside, you can dress up. But if you're not confident, you see somebody, they're wearing something and they look amazing, but they're walking with their head down, they're slouched. They're not standing in the fullness of who they are. And you can tell that they're wearing the clothes. No, the clothes are clothes are wearing them, and they're not wearing the clothes. And that's one of the things that I think people have a hard time doing when you talk about being unscripted, is being themselves. Yeah. And if you have to always be on, and that was a fault for me. I felt like everything had to be together, like polished, like I needed points. I had to write it out. I had to know. Otherwise, oh my gosh, what if this is wrong? What do I look crazy sitting on the couch with my feet up? Like all of the things was in my head. I'm like, okay, girl, be on. Okay, they're watching you. People are watching you. And then it made me censor some of the things that I really wanted to say, because I didn't want to offend anybody, or I didn't want to create a issue anywhere. And now I have to go back and forth with someone. I just wanted a peaceful environment. So you can't live that way.
You can't live that way. And we opposite in that area, is because I live my life unscripted. If you follow me, for you guys that know who I am and follow me, you know that is how I live my life, is because I am who I am, and either you like it or you don't. And that's how I actually been going through life. I might say something that you don't agree with. Even on this podcast, you might not agree with us. It's okay. And we have to be okay with everybody not liking us, or liking what we put out, or liking what we say. But that shouldn't stop you from being who you are and being authentic and putting things out there, because the right people gravitate towards. I was talking to one of my other girlfriends about 1 million people can love you, but we focused on the 2 people that don't, so live your life for you and who you are. And just like I told Ebony, I was like, with this podcast, I was like, everybody know my mouth. And I was like, Lord, please don't let me slip up on this podcast, but it may happen. But you guys know me, and you know that's who I am. So we have to live life unscripted. So, but yeah, so I'm just who I am. And that's really how I live my life at Unscripted. Because when you constantly try to put on, it gets exhausting.
Right.
Because you got to think about this, think about that. How are they going to perceive me if I say this? And even with speaking, that is one of my biggest insecurities. So Ebony don't even know that us doing this is helping me when it comes to communication, when it comes to talking and being in front of people. Because that's not something that people think that I want to do. No, I don't.
And y'all, I like to talk. So I do, because that's one of the things that I like to communicate.
Yeah.
Communication is something that, especially in intimate settings, communication, especially around people that actually want to hear what you have to say. And then you want to understand who the other person is, and you want to have growth conversations. Like, I'm in the season of whatever I need to do, whatever I need to let go of, whoever I need to let go of, because I've let go of some people. Yeah. They might not even realize it, but I did. And sometimes I don't realize that the ways have parted, but I'm in that growth space where I'm like, listen, there are so many things that you have left to do. You haven't scratched the surface. And sometimes it takes you detaching for you to see what you need and what you didn't need and what you thought you needed. You know, sometimes you don't need all the things that you thought you needed. To be effective, you don't. We didn't need we were trying to find the podcast microphones that came in our faces. We were looking at the colors. We were looking for mixing boards. We were looking for all these things. And I kept hearing one of my friends, Marcel, saying, Ebony, what's the main thing? Keep the main thing the main thing. So we be trying to tell them. So I'm going to keep the main thing. So what is the goal of this? It's to share because we're pretty much getting ready to bring you conversations that we
have all the time. Yeah,
and we have it, and we're like, oh, somebody need to hear that. Or, oh, this would be a good, I wonder what other people would weigh in on. So we're getting ready to have those types of dynamics of conversations, but we didn't need the microphones. We didn't need the mix. We needed a camera. We needed something to record our voices. Needed some lights so y'all could see us. And that's it. That's it.
To get started. And that's what people don't understand. Like, I talk to a lot of people and I'm like, well, why haven't you started? I don't have the money, or I don't have this, I don't have that, or this, that, or the third. You don't have to have every single thing to get started with whatever it is that you need to get started. And I tell people that all the time. Sometimes you just have to do it, and along the way it progressed. And as we do the podcast, we will have more things. We would do different things, but you have to get started. And sometimes, if you're faith-based, sometimes you have to believe that God is going to, if God has called you to do it, he's going to lead you through it. So,
sometimes it's just literally stepping out the boat.
Stepping out the box.
Yeah.
And a lot of people ask, how did we even become friends? We actually have been in each other's life since high school. I think
you were in middle school. I was in high school.
Yeah. Oof.
Don't do that.
Wait a minute. No, you was.
Yeah. I was in high school. No.
I didn't come to the 9th grade. So you was about to graduate, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I came to, we went to Christian Faith Center. Shout out to Christian Faith Center Academy. That's where we went to for high school. So I was in high school in the 9th grade, and you were, I think, a senior or a junior or senior, somewhere like that. But her sister, we have always been, close friends, went to college together. Our producer, our director, everything behind the scenes now.
We using the studio.
We're using her studio, Crystal's studio. Thank you so much. Shout out. She charged $500 an hour. If you want to use her studio, inbox me. I'll let you know.
Wait.
Send me the $500. Send it to her. But we have always been friends, but me and Ebony had been in different groups. So even though we was in the same vicinity, we never built our relationship with each other. Me and Crystal have always had our friendship throughout life. And so it seemed like last year, honestly, all the years, that's over 20-something years that we've been in each other's life. 2024 was the year that we found out that we really needed each other.
Yeah. And it was out of nowhere. Like, we
Out of
tried to
nowhere.
figure out when it started, but
I don't even know. It's
we
like
don't
you
know.
would think that we, like, a lot of people like, oh, y'all been friends for years or different things like that. We really built our relationship last year. And it was based off like business stuff. And then we started, and I don't know what happened. She just bullied me, into the relationship. And I was just like, okay, Ebony, of course.
Total lies.
Total lies. But
yeah, it was. So I kind of came on a trip and
we went to Tulum.
Went on a trip. Even then, we won't.
Yeah,
No.
I don't know.
It just happened.
It just happened, and we just really fell in because we both was just praying for, I was praying for more spiritual aligned friends where I can talk to about things that come up in my mind or things that I feel, and somebody that can process it or understand it. And she was praying, a certain prayer as well. And so when we came together, it was like, I didn't think nothing about it. I'm still waiting on the spiritual friend. I'm like, oh, you what I was waiting for. You what I needed. We didn't think like that. It was just, we've been in each other's life. We developed our friendship last year and it just grew.
Yeah, like,
unexpectedly.
Yeah, because so she claims I bully her, but so she doesn't like the phone. So, and I told y'all, like, I like to talk. So I don't do it. I don't have long drawn out conversations with everybody, but I have like a few people that on a weekly basis we gonna have our conversations, and that's it. And so with her, she would be like, Ebony, I need this, this, and this, and I don't have the answers, and don't ask me no questions, and I'll let you know. And I'm like, okay. So I knew I would never really call her. And then I would send her a voice memo, and then she started sending me voice memos, and I was like, oh, she sent me long voice memos. Okay. And then she moved on to call me one day. I was like, you okay? Is something wrong?
She was literally like,
are you okay?
Are you okay? So I was like, girl, what is you talking about? Yes, I just got to tell you something.
Like, okay. And now she be calling. She done messed up a lot of her friends. Now she called them on the phone and they think she's about to pass you on the side of the road.
When I tell you, Ebony, when I call you and you shocked, that's because Ebony has started it. Even Crystal was like, hello? Like, my friends are like, huh? Hey, how you doing, girl? She started it, you guys. Because it's easier to have a conversation than a text. Sometimes texts are quicker, but it is easier. I'm learning to have a conversation, get out what it is that you need to say in the actual moment. Even my mom, we talk all the time, but the conversations that start being longer, and she'd be like, okay. I say, well, I'm not finished. I got something else to say. She's like, girl, what is going on with you? It's a new DeVonnda in 2025. I'm going to call you.
Gonna call you and then act like you made her stay on the phone.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, you made me stay on the phone long enough. I'll talk to you later.
So my girl, you don't make me talk to you for an hour. Bye. And I'm like, you called me. Like, you called me. But it's funny how one of the things that we talk about with the name and like our little line or whatever, the lessons that I'm learning over the seasons that has shifted. Like, I knew that I was in a space where I wanted more.
Yeah.
I wanted more of something and I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't know what it was. I was hungry for sharpening conversations, if that makes sense. Like, I wanted to build. I wanted to do something. I wanted to have open and new perspectives. And I was looking for it to come a certain way. Totally did not come that way. Like, last year, everything changed for me. Everything changed for me. Mentally, spiritually, physically, and even in relationships. Like, all of those things changed. And so I'm like, what is happening? And everything, I know, like she said, if you faith-based, I mean, most people that follow me know that I am. So I'm like, Lord, you said, write the vision, make it plain.
Yeah.
You told me to do that and I did it. And was like, girl, that was funny. And you threw it in the trash. And I'm like, but wait, I gave you the script. Like, I wrote it out. You told me that if I write it down, you said that you give me the desires of my heart. So I felt like the things I wrote down was the things you told me to desire. And now you ain't doing it that way. And he's like, nope, Ebony, this is your, and I said, last year was my trust fall year. I feel like it's still happening. And he's like, no, girl, you got to trust me. Either you do or you don't.
Yeah.
It's one or the other. It's no, I don't have time to give you explanations as to why I tell you to shift and move. I don't have time to explain to you why I'm telling you that relationship is no longer good for you.
Right.
I'm not telling you why I need you to move from this church to and do something different. Like all of those things, I'm not telling you why. And you're praying for certain things to happen, and then stuff is unearthed and you got stuff moving around and you're like, wait, where did that come from? But you're disrupting the ground. And now everything that does not need to be there is being unsettled, and it's moving around and it's getting out of the way and it's exposing itself. And now you have to deal with it.
Yeah. And it goes back to life being unscripted.
Yeah.
And it's like, even me, like I'm writing out a plan. Like even when you look at your life, you think you should be further along, or this should have happened by now.
Right.
I'm 38, about to be 39 in May. Why haven't I, got married, or why haven't I had children, or a successful relationship, or this, and the third? And then we have to understand that God's timing is not our timing. And that's the biggest, hardest thing, because what people don't understand, what can take years, God can do in a day.
Right.
And we don't think about that because we're just like, we're so caught up with time and life and different things like that. And I had to learn God's timing is everything. And every time I say something, God always reminds me, have I failed you yet? And I'm like, no. I just been going through the process to elevate and build and, character, because honestly, if we think about it, if God gave us everything at one time, we wouldn't be able to handle it. I would have mismanaged a lot of things. Like I had to grow up. I was selfish. I was, insecure back then. I had a lot of things that I needed to get together within me before he can give me the capacity of what he has for me. So it's almost like, okay, God, I'm just putting it in your hands. Like I told Ebony when I started my fast in January, everything you can think of was just going wrong or happening. Then I had random surgery. Then this happened. This bill coming. This. I'm like, what is going on? And do I need to come off this fast? Like, what is going on now? And things just start hitting. I said, you know what? I can't control it. If I try to control it, I'm going to have a headache. I'm going to be sick. I can't control it. I'm just going to put it in your hands, God. You got to deal with this. I can't stress it. I can't worry about it. I just have to take things day by day. And I know, we talked about you're a planner, and I'm a planner too in a certain extent. So, well, let me take that back. I'm a procrastinator.
I mean, anybody that want to build a house in 3 days, sure. I got it. Look, first of all, I know, I'm sorry, I cut you off. But first of all, she got a whole event at the end of February. Okay. And I said, DeVonnda, when are you gonna, she said, Ebony, can you speak at it? Okay, I don't have no answers yet. Don't ask me no questions. I'll tell you.
I'm such a procrastinator.
I was like, okay, fine. So I was like, all right, cool. I ain't gonna ask you no questions. I said, wait, DeVonnda, your event is in February. I ain't got the flyer yet, Ebony, no. And I was like, okay. No, I don't have it. No, people ain't registered. I said, but you off Facebook too. You off Instagram. Like you're off of every platform. When you gonna advertise? Probably February 1st. The event is when? The end of February. Whoever gonna be there, gonna be there. And I'm like,
and it's crazy, y'all, because I've always been like, I don't know why I operate better when I have to do it. And, a lot of people are not like that. We are so opposite. She's so cute with it, playing, and I got the time, and I got this, and I done created this for the people that are going to be here. Cause she'll talk about
like this.
Cause that's how your ambiance is. Cause she woke up with, she going to talk about, but she does this, and I got the sponsors, I got this and that. Me, I got Crystal, and that's it.
And that's it. And I'm like, girl, why you got to be that's anxiety for me.
Y'all, and I know where I'm gonna have it. Still haven't went to look. Like I I'm gonna go this week. I promise, guys. You're gonna have somewhere. It's gonna be somewhere. But I do have to do better in that aspect because it's not always good. And you know what's crazy is I don't do that at work. I do that when it comes to me.
And so that's something that you probably need to talk to your therapist about.
That is something I need to talk to my therapist about. Why do I procrastinate when it comes to myself, but when it comes to who I, work for? And I think somebody was talking about that yesterday. I think somebody was talking about that yesterday, that when we was at your event, at the Cozy event, and they were just like, you do all these hours for your job, but when it comes to you, it's like 30 minutes. And I'm like, dang, Vaughn, because after work, where I be in bed, or you busy? Nah, girl, reading a book, ain't did nothing when it comes to my brand or my business and different things like that. And so what I have started doing is I say, okay, I'm working these hours, and this time is going to be dedicated to me working. So now you come, I'm like, I'm in my office, or something like that, because I'm really trying to rebuild my brand this year. And different things like that. But we are like that. A lot of us are like that when it comes to ourselves. It's just, I put you on the back burner, girl, but the work gets first priority, and that's it. And you were talking about that a little bit yesterday at the Cozy event, which was amazing. She did an awesome job when you were talking about motherhood and wife. And
you gotta learn, and y'all will hear me say it a lot, because it just does make me cringe when I hear people talk about balance, work-life balance. It tears my nerves up, because you cannot be balanced. In my world, balance is something that doesn't make sense. You need harmony. Harmony is
good.
Okay, think of a singer. Okay, think of someone that sings. If you are a musical engineer, anything of that sort. And I won't go on a rant with this, but this is my thing. Like, you can never give the same amount of energy to anything. Like, you always have to use your wisdom as to, this is the season I'm in. I need to focus on this thing. I need to focus on that thing. Just like a musical engineer sits down and they listen and they hear how to make a beautiful blend from a group of women that are singing, or a group of people that are singing. They move the alto up, turn the tenor down, give more bottom to this. Like, they do different things in that sort to make the blend sound well. And that's what you have to do with your life. And I was learning that last year, my life, everything was up.
Everything.
Except me. Like, mine was down and everything else was up.
Everything was up. That's true.
And it wore me out. I got to the end of the year and I said, girl, you leaking. Like, stuff that before I could hold in and I wouldn't give a response to, it was falling out my mouth before I could even. And I'm like, why are you like that? Because I'm usually not like that. I am very put together,
Not me.
No, it just comes out. So if y'all see me pop her one good time, stop it. But that's what I was finding in myself. And I was like, girl, you need to get that together, because you cannot afford to allow things to come out of your mouth that is going to go opposite of what it is that you are trying to build.
That's good.
Like, I'm saying in one breath that I want this, but then out of my next breath, I'm countering what I said, and now I'm canceling it out. And I was doing that because my spirit, my inside went right. Yeah. Because my mixing board had me down and everybody else up. Like you said, I give all this work to my job. I do all of that. By the time I get to me,
I'm tired.
I got about 15 seconds and then I'm ready to go to bed. Yeah. And now I'm worn out, and I wake up the next day and do it all over again. So if I had to look at you, and this is so off the cuff, y'all, because I ain't even asked her. If I had to look at you and I had to tell you who I see, off the cuff, unscripted, I don't see the person that you say is timid and don't like to talk and shies away from the space of being in the front. Like, I don't see that person.
A lot of people don't.
But it's something about whatever's on the inside of you that triggers that, because there's so many things that I think you carry that the enemy tries to use as a distraction. Like, he takes the small things that you are may be apprehensive about, and he amplifies those things, and it makes you not want to go forward, where there's so much stuff that other people can glean from and gain from that you don't allow to radiate because you're focused on the 2%, and there's a whole nother 98%. And so I see you doing big things. I see you walking on platforms. I see you speaking in different arenas, not necessarily just corporate. There's other spaces that you can grace, and you'll be able to sit down, and because of the things that you deal with, you'll be able to have a one-on-one conversation with somebody that is really in the space that you were. And now that you realize that you're working on things, so now you can identify it in somebody else, and then you can help them walk through it. But that's the piece that we don't ever want to do. Like, we go through stuff and we realize that we have gone through this. It hurt. It's all of these things, but we don't realize what we've gained from it. It might have hurt, but you gained something from it. What is the lesson that you took from the experience? What is the moment that you realize that might have hurt my foot, but guess what? I'm strong because I was able to continue to walk on even after I hit my foot. I might have, how many people you seen in a basketball game, they like sprain their ankle, they break they hurt themselves, but they play through it. They plow through it, and then they go get it fixed afterwards, but they completed something. It's the same with us. Like, we have to give ourselves the space to celebrate the wins, celebrate the things that we've done, and pat our own self on the back, encourage ourselves. But I see you doing these things, and you're starting to see it now. Your speech has changed, where you're like, I know I'm going to be this. I know I'm going to do this. I know I have to get myself together, because when I get put on these platforms, I have to be this. I know I can't be clapping back in the comments because such and such and such. Like, I know these things. So you're acknowledging the growth.
I'm trying, y'all,
in those spaces.
But and it's crazy, and I do want to address that, because I know a lot of people think they know you guys know social media DeVonnda, but you don't know real life DeVonnda. It's very few people that I let into that arena of knowing who I truly am. So when I say things like this, people are shocked, because they're just like, what? I would never thought that. And then what people have to understand, self-esteem is different from insecurities. You're still going to always have your insecurities that you really have to die down to and talk to yourself and say, hey, no, speaking is an insecurity for me. And I'll definitely put it out there, because this world and how people perceive, and people don't research, people don't read, they hang on every word that you say. So I'm like, God, you made me in the way to be a clapback queen, because I will go back and forth. And you want to put me on this platform in front of the world with people that have an opinion on every single thing that you do. Are you sure you chose the right person? And so in this season, I'm learning, even at work, even in my everyday life, even with friendships and conversation, everything does not deserve a response. And you cannot be easily offended. You cannot respond to every single thing. It's all right to have conflict. I think conflict builds relationships. You're not going to always agree. You guys were raised different. You have too. And me and Ebony talk about that all the time. Friendships are like relationships. She's married, I'm single, but my relationships with my friendships and stuff, I treat it like a real...
Like, we done had a wedding ceremony. That's what I feel like.
Like a real relationship. Because of the simple fact, it's like, and we'll go to my friendship evaluations, we'll talk about that. But yeah, and that's what people don't understand. So people are coming to my life, and sometimes I'll open up and they'll be like, wow, I think I had somebody ask, they was like, wow, I thought you were confident. And I said, that's the problem. People needs to separate confidence from insecurity. You're going to always have to work on your confidence. You're going to always have to work on insecurities, because what happens is you surround yourself with people, and you have to be careful who you surround yourself with, because they'll put something in your head and you're just like, maybe I do need to get that done, or maybe I do need to fix that. And you'll start taking those things inward, and you're just like, who was around me that put that in me? So just because you're a confident person does not mean you won't deal with certain type of insecurities that you got to push through, that you got to fight through. So I do want to say that. So people put people on a pedestal and think they're perfect and nothing is wrong, or they don't ever face anything. So you know, it's a big difference between being confident and having your insecurities. Insecurities are things you're going to constantly have to work at. And speaking is an insecurity for me because people do hang on every word. And I'm like, does this make sense? Do I overthink in my head? Even being a leader and being in meetings and talking to my team, I'm like, I always say, does that make sense? Or I ask Ebony, does that make sense? Do you really, because I want to make sure that you really understand what I'm saying. So, yeah.
Yeah, but people will take a sound bite and we can't control that part. Things are gonna happen. They may not be perfect. They may take something that one of us say. They may take a screenshot of how I looked at you when you said something.
Yes.
She looked.
And in my mind, I'm thinking about getting some fries from McDonald's. Ain't even thinking about Ebony in that way because y'all won't do that to us. This tight right here. And she already knows. So before you do a screenshot, you better think about what you're doing.
We working on her, y'all.
Oh, my bad.
And our producer gonna take her phone. She gonna take Crystal.
Sorry. Went off on a receipt. Lord, still working on it. Go ahead, Ebony. My bad.
But no, like that's the part that we gotta learn how to turn down the noise. I watched a clip from when I watched the podcast, Tyler Perry and
David
that
Mann.
I sent you and David Mann. And one of the things he said that I was like, David Mann was talking about how Tyler doesn't get offended by people often. Like, he'd be like, because they don't
talk
matter.
about him all the time.
He was like, because it doesn't matter. He said, that means if they have an issue, they're not my audience.
Ooh,
he was like, I don't listen to that. He was like, I don't listen to that. He was like, so that's not who it was for. Because the people that were in the room when we did the play, or the people that were in the room when we did these things, they received it like this was for them. So I don't worry about that. He was like, I don't listen to the noise. And that's the thing. The noise is what we have to learn. And sometimes we have to silence our noise because we have our own noise that we're talking in our head and we're hearing all these things and we're saying these things about ourselves. Like one of my good friends that lives in Texas, Deidre, before I did She Woke Up, the year before I went to a conference there. I went to Woman Evolve. And when I left, I was like, Ebony, you're going to do your conference when you go back home.
Amazing.
Super duper excited. Got back home and I was like, I don't know, y'all. And when I was sitting down with Dee, she was like, Ebony, but I see you this way. She's like, I don't see that person. I don't see that timid person. I don't see her. She was like, I see the person that does. And she starts listing these characteristics. She was like, that's who I see. And so as I got back the next year, I was like, Ebony, you're going to do the conference. I told my sister, Crystal was like, Ebony, let's go. What are we going to do? And we start planning. I get a team together. I don't know how to, at the time, I didn't know how to let people really help me. So I would ask them to do something, but then I would try to do it myself.
And we kicked her out.
They did kick me out the whole group chat, y'all. But what ended up happening was I had to step into the person that God called me to be. I wrote something that was like, who do I have to become to walk into these spaces and places that you have called me to make me her? Like I wrote a whole I don't call it free write or whatever about it, but it was like a poem, sort of like a speech. But who do I have to become? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so I'm already her. I just have to recognize that I am that person. So I have started to wake up Ebony instead of allowing other people to tell me who I am. Because I told y'all my volume on my mixing board was down low for me. So all I heard was the noise. Yeah. All I heard was everybody else's opinions and what they needed. And that hit my heart. I'm a very big words person. So I hear the words that are said. And if I don't take and release them off of me, they weigh on me.
They weigh on you. They do.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, I'm like, Ebony, you overthinking. Ebony, don't worry about that. Why are you thinking like that? Who cares? Let's just do it. Get
that screenshot.
I do. And that's what we do for each other. Like we turn down the noise. Like I'm just like, we remind each other of who we are and our purpose. And I think that's what happens in friendship. Like you push each other, you remind each other of your destiny and your goals. Like that doesn't align with who you are. Let's turn that down. Even with this,
I'm quick to tell you a distraction.
Yeah, we both had our individual insecurities and different things like that, but we both turn down the noise in each other. No, we're going to do this. This is what we're going to do. We know that we have lives and people to touch with the things that we have to say to them. So,
So what is your lesson in all of this? So we have you come for, we done laughed a lot, y'all. And we do that because you need laughter. But there's always a takeaway.
Yeah.
There's always a lesson to learn, something that you pick up that will help you live your best unscripted life. Mm-hmm. There's always something. So what's something that's a takeaway for you?
From this episode or just general?
Why you got to be all deep? We was just talking.
I know. I learned from the best. But, a takeaway from me is the journey is not going to always be easy. But you just have to trust and believe that he is going to guide you along the way. And just go forward. So I think that's my biggest lesson is just go for it, go for it, go for it. And keep moving. And don't stop. Be consistent, committed, and confident in who he has called you to be. And he won't separate himself from you if that's what he called you to do.
Mine is similar. So one of the things that I tell some of my clients that are like perfectionists like me, I say purpose is not perfection and perfection is not purpose.
That's good.
Because if you wait to be perfect, you will never
do anything in life.
You'll never get there.
Mm-hmm.
You won't. And you will strive to be something. And then when you get to the place of perfection that you thought you reached, you'll realize that ain't it either. Mm-hmm. And now you want to do more. Mm-hmm. And so when you keep, and life is forever evolving. You change, you grow, you change, you grow. But you have to realize that as long as you are striving to be who God has called you to be, you're striving to be that person that not takes the air out of the room for people, but you're there to uplift people. You're there to grow. And sometimes you have to be able to weigh when the season is for you to be quiet, or when maybe you're in a space where God is like downloading things and now it's time for you to be good. And you're good with what he's already done right now. And that may be your perfectness in that season. And now he's going to perfect you even more. Yeah. So just understand, like, purpose does not mean perfect. You can do so much. God can do so much more with a willing vessel than someone that is perfect and polished. You look like an antique doll
on the outside.
And then on the inside, you are all types of jacked up. And you can't even, now you have walked out and you have helped other people be delivered, but you go home and you are miserable. You are depressed. You are depleted because you've given everything out because you wanted it to be perfect. And now on the inside, you didn't give yourself what you needed. So that's mine. Purpose is not perfection, and perfection is not purpose.
That's good.
That's my lesson, y'all.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this first episode, getting to know Ebony and I. We have decided to call you guys the Up Squad. Up Squad. So, just send your questions, join our website, go follow us on YouTube. Instagram, we almost at 100 followers. Thank you guys.
We should be by the time this episode.
Right. We should be by the time this episode drops. So we thank you guys for your support, and we're definitely going to answer all your questions, and we hope you enjoyed this first episode. Drop some topics and different things that you want Ebony and I to talk about in this podcast. We'll definitely, shout you out and different things like that. So we really appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
So you want to come for the laughs,
stay for the lessons,
because becoming your best self is better unscripted.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Unscripted Push. Here's a question for you. How will you live unscripted this week? Catch you next time.